Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto x Bloom x Roxy x Stella? Part 1. Huge shout out to Power of Magic for this story. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Prologue. Konoha Hospital, Naruto's room. In Konohagaku no Sato General Hospital, we find our orange-loving Jinchuriki laying in a hospital bed distraught. Sasuke Naruto thought in sadness, why did you have to leave? Is power really all that mattered to you? Did our team mean nothing to you? Meanwhile, deep with the blonde, the Kyuubi no Kitsune was having thoughts of its own on the whole situation. He's brooding over Uchiha of all things, Kyuubi thought in anger. He should be more worried that he almost didn't survive that clash back in the Valley of the End. I can't let the boy continue on like this. He's not ready for the darkness of the shinobi world yet. He's also lacking in strength. But what can we do? Nowhere in the land is it truly safe for the boy to grow freely with Akatsuki's manipulations. Wait, that jutsu father told us about. He then thought, yes, that could work, but the boy needs to be convinced. He lives under a naive view that the village is truly his home. But even I can see that things won't change with him becoming Hokage. I'll have to break the truth about everything to him. Back outside, Naruto continued his brooding till in a deep voice he heard, "Brat, we need to talk," and he was forced into unconsciousness. Naruto's mindscape. He now finds himself deep within his mind, brought before the seal. Behind it, giant red piercing eyes gazed down at him. He then said, "What do you want, Kyuubi?" "I'll be honest with you, brat. Your situation isn't looking that good," Kyuubi said in a serious tone. "You're weak and you'll stay that way as long as you're with Konoha." "What do you mean? I can't just leave Konoha. It's my home and dash, and it's not." Naruto started but was cut off by the Kyuubi. "Did you just forget your whole childhood? All the glares and jeers and backtalks. Being treated as if you were a demon. Being thrown out of stores just because you hold me. Is this truly your home? Doesn't sound like one. You don't even know who you truly are." What do you mean?" Naruto asks, a little confused. "I will tell you, but you have to actually listen, alright," Kyuubi says, looking Naruto in the eye. Seeing Naruto nod, he continues, "Your true name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of Kushina Uzumaki, my previous Jinchuriki and member of the Uzumaki clan. And Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage and the one who sealed me into you. This village has been scorning the child of their own hero." Kyuubi scoffed at this. Naruto stood there shocked, with tears threatening to fall, not really sure how to handle the truth. The identity of his parents was the one thing he wanted the most. But to find out that not only did he have a clan, but the man who was his idol was also his father and responsible for the crappy life he lived. But he could focus on this later. All the high-ranking members of Konoha knew this? Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, and even the old man third? "Why tell me all this?" spoke Naruto. "You could have just left me in the dark and let me go on as I was." He was generally confused why Kyuubi was being so helpful when it would just usually threaten his life whenever they met. "Because you represent me and you can't be weak," Kyuubi replied. "I also have an offer that may benefit both of us." Deciding he had nothing to lose, Naruto replies, "Okay, I'll at least hear you out, and then decide what to do. Here's the deal. I know a jutsu that can let us jump dimensions. If we do this, it protects us from the Akatsuki and is a fresh start in life. Think about it, no one will know about the Biju in that dimension. You won't be scorned by anyone, and you can tell your secret to only those you deem trustworthy. To sweeten the deal, I'll even aid you in training with my chakra and other things," Kyuubi told him. Naruto gave it some thought. It would be sad to leave behind the small number of friends he has, but he decided to be selfish for once. This was his chance at a new beginning, and he was going to take it. He nodded his head at the idea, saying, "Okay then, you've got yourself a deal." Kyuubi nodded his head, and told him, Now before we leave you should head towards your parents' old home and seal up whatever scrolls and valuables they left behind. You'll need those for training. Also head towards the Hokage Tower, and take the Forbidden Scroll since there'll be a few jutsus that should be perfect for you to use. I'll get on that as soon as I wake up, Naruto replied in Kyuubi. Thank you for your help. I really appreciate it. Kurama, replied Kyuubi. What? Naruto said confusingly. My name is Kurama, he replied. All us Biju have names. Telling you my true name is a sign of trust. If we are going to start this new life, we have to trust each other. I understand, Kurama, and thank you for trusting me, Naruto stated. I have one last question. I have to know. Did they love me? Without a doubt, Kit, Kurama replied. Your mother couldn't stop jumping around when she found out she was having you. And your father was happy as well. Tears began to fall down Naruto's face as he wailed in joy. Finally he knew what his parents thought about him. To finally have that closure of knowing that they actually wanted him. Thank you so much, Kurama, Naruto exclaimed happily with a true smile upon his face. I promise to make this partnership work for the both of us. And with that, Naruto faded from his mindscape. Naruto's hospital room. Waking up, Naruto notices that no one has entered the room yet. He gets out of bed, removing his hospital gown and putting on his regular orange jumpsuit. He then opens the window and jumps out, taking to the rooftops. Where should I go first? He thought, as he jumped on the rooftops. Get the Forbidden Scroll, or find my parents' house. Go to your parents' home first. There's less of a risk of being found out, Kurama replied. The Forbidden Scroll will be more guarded. Their home is located behind the Hokage monument. Naruto nodded his head, as he headed that way, feeling happy that he'll see his parents' home, and where he'll have grown up if they were still alive. Namikaze home. Soon enough he arrives there, and notices a seal on the door. It's a blood seal. A security measure that Minato and Kushina put in. You have to smear some of your blood on it to gain access to the complex, Kurama stated. Nodding, Naruto then bites his thumb, drawing blood. He then swipes it across the seal, which begins to glow brightly. After it stops, the door opens and Naruto hurries in, closing the door behind him. In the living room, he sees a large banner hanging "Welcome Home, Naruto." It fills him with joy seeing this. He then heads downstairs towards the basement. When he reaches it, he sees shelves of scrolls containing ninjutsu, fuinjutsu, gainjutsu, and kenjutsu. There were surprisingly some scrolls that contained money. He also noticed some square papers lying on the ground. That is chakra paper, Kurama states. By pushing chakra into it, you can determine your elemental affinities. Pushing some chakra into the piece of paper produces a shocking result. It splits into 4 equally sized pieces. One is drenched sagi, another turns to dust, and the final piece sprouts a small sapling. Looks like my host is a diamond in the rough, Kurama stated proudly. You have equally strong affinities for wind, earth, water, and apparently wood style. Naruto was surprised that he had the same bloodline limit as Konoha's founding Hokage. But that could be focused on for later. He grabbed some giant sealing scrolls and began sealing all the ninjutsu, fuinjutsu, and money scrolls away. He thought about leaving the gainjutsu and kenjutsu scrolls but decided to take them as well so he could use them as a basis for his own gainjutsu and kenjutsu style. He did find 4 whole ingots of chakra metal, which was a score. He could use them to forge his own sword and maybe something extra. He then sealed the giant scrolls into smaller scrolls that he then put into a backpack he found lying around. Alright, next is the Forbidden Scroll. You'll need it if you want to learn what ninjutsu, Kurama stated. It should still be in the Hokage's office. So you'll have to be careful. Right, Naruto replied. He then exited the house, making sure to relock the door on his way. He then took to the roofs again, never noticing a pair of pale lavender eyes watching him leave. Hokage's office. Eventually making it to the window by Tsunade's office, Naruto peeks through to see that no one is present. Naruto releases a sigh of relief. He then calmly makes his way inside and towards the cabinet with the forbidden scroll. You're really lucky that she's not here. And with her gone, her ANBU guards follow, stated Kurama. Now hurry up and grab that scroll so we can leave this sage-forsaken world, he stated to him impatiently. Naruto nods, breaking open the safe and grabbing the forbidden scroll. He then seals it into a sealing scroll and puts it with the others in his bag. Seeing that he has what he's looking for, he exits through the window and heads towards his team's old training ground. Training Ground 7. Arriving at the training ground, Naruto begins to double-check that he has everything he needs. Seeing that all his supplies are there, he then asks, so how do we perform this jutsu, Kurama? We will need to perform the hand signs at the same time to synchronize our chakra, Kurama replies. Are you ready, Naruto, because there is no going back on this? You bet I am. Believe it, Naruto shouted excitedly. Then let us begin. Both Naruto and Kurama begin the signs, Tora, Tori Inu, Uma, Ashi Saru Tatsu. They both shouted at the same time, Dimensional Rift Jutsu. At the end of the shout, a bluish-purple portal opens up in front of Naruto. Seeing that the jutsu worked, Naruto begins to move towards the portal. Before he could step through, though, he heard someone shout from behind Naruto-kun. Turning around, he saw Hinata standing there panting. She must have followed him from somewhere. What are you doing here, Hinata? Questions Naruto. You're leaving, aren't you? Hinata asked, just like Sasuke-san. You're leaving your home behind. Konoha hasn't ever been a home to me, really, replies Naruto. I guess I was just too blind to see it for myself. This is a new start for me, Hinata. Please don't stop me. What about your friends? What about me? She retorts. I love you, Naruto-kun. I always have, so please don't leave me. Naruto was slightly taken aback but shook his head, steeling his resolve. He then replied, I'm sorry, Hinata, but I just can't return those feelings cause I don't know what love is yet. Goodbye, Hinata. Naruto then shins behind her and knocks her out. He then lays her on the ground gently, then turns back around. He then takes off his headband and slashes through the middle, signifying the seriousness of his resolve to break free. He then runs and jumps through the portal with it closing behind him, leaving behind his old life for a new one. Gardinia, California. Landing on ground, Naruto turns back to the portal to see it closing. With that, he breathes a sigh of relief. Looking in the other direction, he sees a huge sign stating Welcome to Gardinia. We made it, Kurama, he states. We actually pulled it off. We're in a whole new dimension, he exclaims excitedly. Of course we pulled it off. The great Kurama had no doubt it would work, Kurama states proudly. All right, time for a game plan. What do we need to get done? Well, first I need to get some identification, Naruto replies. Then I'll trade all my money for this world's currency and open a bank account. Then comes buying a house and new clothes for myself. Then we can get to training. You can scratch off the house. You can utilize wood style to make any type of home you want, suggested Kurama. For location, you'll have to scout out the city. Also make sure to disguise yourself as someone older. Right. Now, henge! Shouted Naruto as he exploded into a plume of smoke. As it cleared, there stood Naruto in the form of a plain-looking middle-aged man. This will be a good disguise. Now, Shadow Clone Jutsu, which caused 15 clones of his disguise to poof into existence. 5 of you fan out and scout out the city. The other 5 get to make me a new identity in the records. And the final 5, find a library and read up on this world's history. Get to it! Yes, sir! And with that the clones sped off. Naruto himself decides to walk around and admire the sights, smiling happily at the place he would call his new home. Gardinia, 1 month later. It has been a month since Naruto and Kurama have reached this new world called Earth. His clones created his identity and opened up a bank account for him. He was now known as Naruto Namikaze to the people of Earth. After setting up a backstory for his records, he immediately went towards a vacant spot at the local beach that his other batch of clones had found. Since he had no experience with elemental jutsu, he had Kurama take the reins. Utilizing wood style and earth style, Kurama created a big 2-story house with a strong base to make sure it stayed rooted. The kitchen, living room and first bathroom were on the first floor. His bedroom, washroom, laundry room and an extra room were on the second floor. Kurama also added a very large basement the size of a training ground to allow him to train in peace. It included a back room that held his jutsu library, which was under lock and key. Turns out the currency of his world traded in for a lot here. He had arrived with 70,000 gold Rio coins and traded it in for an account of 54 billion Earth dollars. He of course would be responsible with how he spent all that cash. He had spent most of the month furnishing and installing new tech into his home, while also familiarizing himself with the community and its rules. He ended up buying appliances he needed for daily life along with a laptop, a television with a game system, and a cell phone. Another thing that changed was how people treated him. Since no one here had no knowledge of him being a Jinchuriki, he was treated like a normal person. He didn't have to worry about getting kicked out of the stores, so he could actually shop for good food and clothes. He had a fully stocked fridge with tons of different foods, so he cut down on his all-ramen diet quite a bit. This world's history was also very intriguing to him. When he compared it to his world, Earth was way more advanced and peaceful than the elemental nations. You also needed an education to get anywhere here in life, so he already applied to a local high school which he'll start in 2 weeks. He also began getting into some hobbies such as reading comics, playing video games and listening to music. During this month, Kurama also took the time to fix whatever broken mentality he had on his life and interactions in Konoha. Kurama made it clear that it was good to forgive people, but not when they took advantage of it. The people of Konoha, for example. Since they were never punished for their treatment of him as a child, they had no remorse for their actions. They didn't deserve forgiveness. Then there was his relationships in Konoha. Out of all of them, he could only really call Shikamaru, Choji, Tuchi and Ayam his friends. Tsunade and Jiraiya had kept his heritage a secret from him, which he felt was a huge betrayal. Then there was the relationship with his team. Sasuke always acted like he was better than everyone else and was really power-hungry. And after ramming Chidori through his chest, their friendship was non-existent. Kurama agreed that the next time they met, one of them would die. Sakura would brain him in the head any time he tried to speak his mind. She never gave him a chance and always fawned over Sasuke. Kakashi talked about camaraderie and bonds, but never reprimanded Sakura or Sasuke for bashing him and didn't even try to help him with his chakra problems. Kurama also told him that Kakashi was his father's student and knew of Naruto's connection to his father. So he was wondering where he was during his childhood. There was Hinata's confession. When he really thought about it, he couldn't love Hinata. Hinata just stood there watching while he suffered in his childhood. He realized that she would follow him around ever since they were kids. But not once did she ever think to approach him and hang out with him. So her love was one-sided. Right now we find Naruto meditating on the couch of his new living room having a mental conversation with Kurama. So I have an idea for what my sword will look like. I also have a weapon idea for when I use taijutsu, thought Naruto. How are we making these again? My father had a jutsu that defied the laws of creation and allowed him to make anything, be it living or non-living. I can only use it to make non-living things though, Kurama replied. We will have to sync our minds while I have control of your body so what we create comes out right. Go downstairs so that we have enough room to perform this. Nodding his head, Naruto heads downstairs towards his basement training ground. He sees the 400 clones he left to train still hard at work, with scrolls scattered all over the ground. This was the secret of the Shadow Clone Jutsu that was revealed to him by Kurama. He received their memories when they popped, so he got their experience when training ninjutsu and fuinjutsu. But the drawback was that he had to do physical training with his original body. He also had to time when his clones popped so he didn't get a massive headache. Each set of clones had a set objective, 50 working on chakra control, 50 working on fire manipulation, 50 working on water manipulation, 50 working on lightning manipulation. Another 50 working on wind manipulation, 50 working on earth manipulation, 50 working on creating his own style of gain jutsu that compensate for his reserves, 50 working on fuin jutsu, and 50 working on wood style. Seeing that training was going smoothly, Naruto moves towards the back room. He unlocks it and moves towards the scrolls that contain the ingots of chakra metal, grabbing them. He then moves toward an empty space on the training field. Creating a table with earth style, he unseals the ingots and separates them into 2 piles. He then creates 3 more clones. 2 focusing on one pile and himself with the clone focusing on the other pile. "Alright Kurama, I'm ready," Naruto stated. "Alright, I'm taking control now," stated Kurama. As soon as he said that, the 3 clones and the main body gained red eyes with slits. Their hands began to glow white and Kurama shouted, "Creation of all things jutsu." There is a giant flash of white before it dies down. The clones dispel themselves, leaving Naruto by himself. Naruto then looks at the table, curious about the results of the jutsu. The first weapon he notices is a large 2-handed sword made mostly of a dark substance resembling solidified lava, with claws running up its length, talons for a handguard, and a red jewel on its pommel. 1. The second weapon next to it is a set of demonic-looking gauntlets, greaves, and shoulder braces. The gauntlets have a sickly yellow eye on them. 2. He walks around the table amazed by the final product. "If you like how they look, then you'll love this," Kurama states proudly. "Channel some chakra over your body and imagine them appearing." Listening to Kurama, Naruto closes his eyes and sends a pulse of chakra over his body while thinking of the weapons appearing on his person. He then feels a weight on his body and hands. Opening his eyes, he sees that sword and armor set have appeared on his body. "Cool," Naruto smirks as he gives the sword some rest swings. He then dismisses it and begins to throw some practice punches and kicks. They're synced with your chakra, so all you have to do is flare it to summon them. But if you think that's cool, then wait till you hear what special effects I added. For the sword, you can charge chakra into it to let out energy slashes. It also splits open to release spectral swords that shift position based on what you need in combat. Kurama puffs his chest proudly. For the gauntlets and greaves, they release explosions on impact. If you want to make bigger explosions, then just add more chakra to them, he informed Naruto. "Kurama, have I ever told you I love you, man?" Naruto said excitedly, smashing his fists together. "Alright, time for some combat practice." Naruto then turns to his clones and shouts, "Alright, I want 300 of you to dispel in intervals of 20 every 20 minutes. While the rest of you are gonna come at me with everything you got. I got 2 weeks to break these in and get comfortable with them." He received a chorus of yes sirs and then got into a fighting position. "Ready. Go!" Naruto then charged at the army of clones. Gardinia Public High School, 2 weeks later. We now find Naruto standing at the entrance of his new school, decked out in a new outfit. He wears a long, dark blue coat with a red shirt underneath. He has black pants and black boots on. 3. He also cut his hair into a faux hawk-like style. 4. He carries a standard book bag. This garners him a lot of attention, especially from the ladies. The past 2 weeks were spent getting ready for school and finalizing his fighting style. He named it the Trick Master style. It doubles as a kenjutsu and taijutsu style that focuses on high-speed maneuvers and combos that vary depending on the melee weapon. He also got to naming his new weapons. For the sword, he named it the Devil Sword Kurama, in honor of his new friend. For the armor set, he named them Balrog, after a fire demon he read about in a mythology book. After feeling comfortable with his new weapons and style, he then went out to collect his supplies for school in the next couple of days. Today will be his first day of education. He walks through the doors and straight towards the lady at the front desk, then asks, "Hi there, I'm a new student and looking to get my class schedule. Do you know where I can find the principal's office?" The woman smiles and replies, "Of course. Just go straight down this hallway and make a left. It'll be the big black door." Thank you, Naruto replied and headed down the hall. He looked at all the different types of students wandering around the halls. He feels relieved to not have their stares on him. As he was making a left, he accidentally bumps into someone, knocking them down. Hey, sorry about that, I wasn't watching where I was going, he says, putting his hand downward to pull the person up. He gets a good look at them in the process. Turns out it was a girl with long orange-red hair that stops just above her knees, pale skin, and large cyan eyes. She was wearing a teal crop top with dark blue trim and pale yellow sleeves with blue slightly flared jeans that have stars on the bottom of the legs. Her shoes are yellow wedge sandals with straps over the instep. Naruto found himself freezing by how cute she looked. Ugh, it's okay. Thanks though, the girl replies, taking his hand and standing up. Hey, I've never seen you here before, are you new? Oh yeah, today's my first day, replies Naruto, smiling. I'm Naruto. Well, it's nice to meet you, Naruto. I'm Bloom, the now named Bloom smiles. I hope you enjoy your time here. I have to leave for class now, but it was nice meeting you. It was nice to meet you too, Bloom. It would be nice to see you again as well, states Naruto. They shake hands, then walk off, with Bloom going to class and Naruto entering the principal's office. Principal's office. After speaking to the secretary, he enters the principal's room. Walking towards the principal desk, he says, "Hello, my name is Naruto Namikaze. I'm here to pick up my class schedule." The principal, Mr. Johnson, looks up smiling and replies, Mr. Namikaze, I've been expecting you. I have your schedule right here. I'm honestly surprised you transferred here all the way from Japan. He was surprised by the boy's tragic backstory. Well, with all my living relatives gone, I believe it was time from a fresh start. And Gardinia offered me that start. Naruto replied, feeding into the spun tale of his fake backstory. He was born in Tokyo, Japan, to a Japanese mother, Kushina Namikaze, and Asian-American father, Minato Namikaze. They lived a happy life, but all that changed when Naruto turned 13 last year. They were driving out to celebrate when another car rammed into the side of theirs. The impact immediately killed his parents, while Naruto came out with a broken leg and arm. There was a small funeral for both parents, but young Naruto was left alone. Thankfully, Naruto's parents were highly successful in the economic field, which allowed them to leave Naruto with a large sum of money which could get him by till he got a career of his own. He then arranged for himself to move to Gardinia, transferring schools in the process. Well, I hope that your experience at our school is enjoyable, Mr. Johnson replied. I look forward to seeing how you excel in our education system. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, and have a nice day, Naruto replied, smiling. He then exited Mr. Johnson's office, while saying goodbye to the secretary. He takes a look at his schedule, seeing what classes he has. He has math, science, English, social studies, and P.E. every day in that order. He begins making his way towards his first class, when Kurama suddenly speaks. Naruto, I noticed something interesting with that red-haired girl, his tone full of curiosity. When you shook hands, I sensed a great power deep within her, but I don't believe that she is aware of it. It feels on par with probably 3 tails of my chakra. Naruto froze, shocked that the girl was that strong. Shaking his head, he then replied, So what should we do about it? I mean, I don't want to befriend her just for her power. I'm not Konoha or any of the other hidden villages. That train of thought was something his old home would do, and he swore to be better. But she is still pretty interesting regardless if she has power. Unknown to Naruto, Kurama was impressed by his reply and thought, well, I'll be. This kid is something else. He then replied, you can still befriend her. But if that power ever surfaces, she'll probably need someone to help her control it. Alright, I'll hang out with her. This could be fun, Naruto replied. He then continued on to his first class. First period math. We now find Naruto standing at the front of the class, with the math teacher. Class, we have a new student, so please give him a warm welcome, a skinny woman said as the class began to calm down. She then turns to Naruto. Hello, young man, my name is Mrs. Sowan. Now please introduce yourself to the rest of the students. Nodding, Naruto then spoke. Hi, my name is Naruto Namikaze. I'm 14 years old and I was born in Tokyo, Japan. My likes are video games, ramen, the colors gray and orange, music and meditating. My dislikes are traitors, people who are malicious for no reason and entitled snobs. This got the students whispering amongst one another. Now class, please quiet down, spoke Mrs. Solon. Mr. Namikaze, thank you for your introduction. You can find your seat in the middle row next to Bloom. Bloom, please raise your hand. Bloom then raises her hand, signaling her spot. Seeing an empty desk next to her, Naruto walks to it and sits down while taking out a blank notebook and sending Bloom a smile. She smiles back, then they both turn forward as the teacher begins the class. Hallway, 45 minutes later. Math class ended smoothly, with Mrs. Solon assigning homework. Naruto walks out and sees Bloom ahead of him. He speeds up and calls out, "Hey Bloom, wait up." After catching up to her, he continues, "Hey, I was wondering if you wanted to hang out after school. I don't really have any friends yet, and was wondering where all the hot spots are." Smiling at him, Bloom replies, "Sure, I don't mind. I'm kind of a loner myself, so I can show you some of my favorite spots. Should we meet up outside the school gates then?" "That's perfect. I'll see you then," said Naruto. They shake hands again, then head off towards their respective classes. School gate, 6 hours later. The school day has finally ended and it's now evening. We find Naruto patiently waiting outside the gates for Bloom. He hears a clatter of footsteps behind him. Turning around, he sees Bloom rushing up to him. She finally reached him and said, "Hey Naruto, I'm ready to go. I can't wait to show you around, there are so many places to visit. We have to start now." She then grabs Naruto's hand and drags him as they head to their first destination. Fruity Music Bar, 3 hours later. Naruto and Bloom arrived at their final destination, Fruity Music Bar. The past 3 hours had been a fun experience for them. Bloom first took him to the mall, where they both modeled different clothing for each other. In the end, Bloom ended up getting a new dress while Naruto got new sneakers. Next they went to Gardinia Park, and sat there for a while enjoying the sounds of nature and all the little animals running around. They talked about their different likes and dislikes, with Naruto finding out about Bloom's talent for art. He also learned that Bloom was at odds with a popular girl named Mitzi. She spoke of how Mitzi kept people away from her just to spite Bloom, also explaining Bloom's loner attitude. They then visited a flower shop owned by Bloom's mom. Vanessa was really nice and happy that Bloom had found a friend. Naruto ended up buying Bloom a rose which she put in her hair. He also notices a list that says "Help Wanted" and puts his name and number on the list. Now Naruto and Bloom have arrived at their final destination, the Fruity Music Bar. They went inside, sitting near the bar, and waited to order. A few minutes later, a waitress came up to them. She had waist-length, pinkish purple hair with blonde tips and dark violet eyes. She wore a white midriff business shirt with a collar, a navy blue hem, a navy tie, and a navy, lavender pinstripe miniskirt with a magenta belt and gold chain and buttons. Her shoes are navy lace-up ankle boots with thigh-length magenta socks. She gave them a nice smile, and said hello and welcome to Fruity Music Bar. "My name is Roxy and I'll be your waitress for today. How may I help you?" The two of them looked over their menus, before deciding their order. Naruto speaks up, "I'll have the orange smoothie with a cheeseburger, and a side of fries." With Bloom following after with, "And I'll have the strawberry smoothie with a chicken salad." Roxy nodded her head, as she wrote down their orders and then told them okay then, they shouldn't take too long to make, and she then headed over to the kitchen to give the chief their orders. As they waited for their orders, they continued to talk about random topics until they were interrupted by a haughty voice behind them. "Well, look what we have here. If it isn't Bloom the Gloom." Turning around, they saw a girl their age standing there with some other kids, probably from school. One of them has long black hair that's parted on one side. She also has fair skin and her eyes are covered with dark blue glasses. She was wearing a green tank top with a single line being yellow in color, with small cutout sections that were going down the center, and she was wearing khaki capris. Mitzi, what do you want? Bloom almost growls out at her. Well, I saw you hanging with the new guy, and decided to come and tell him to stop wasting his time with you, she states in a snobbish tone. You should ditch her soon, before you catch her weirdness, she told Naruto. So you're Mitzi. Wow, I gotta say. Mitzi flips her hair back expecting a compliment. I don't really see the appeal. Cue record scratch. Excuse me. She almost yells, while her crew and Bloom start giggling. What did you mean you don't see the appeal? I'm hot, popular, and have tons of money while Bloom doesn't. How am I not more appealing than this washed-up reject? Bloom looked upset with what Mitzi said about her, thinking it was true and expecting Naruto to leave her. But she and Mitzi's crew were surprised when Naruto got up out of his chair and stood right in front of Mitzi, with their noses inches apart, and told her, I don't care who you are, how rich you are, how popular or how hot you are. Bloom is my friend, and I don't like people talking down on my friends. Understand? He nearly growled at her with his eyes bleeding red from channeling a bit of Kurama's chakra. She's way more interesting than you'll ever be, and actually has a future beyond high school, unlike you who will probably end up someone's sloppy seconds. So step off, bitch, I'm not interested. Mitzi found herself terrified out of her mind by the powerful gaze she was under. Shaking her head and getting back some resolve, she replied, fine, stay with that weirdo. Watch how quickly your rep goes down the drain. She huffed then stormed out, her posse following soon after. Bloom was almost tearing up, happy that Naruto stood up for her, and that he preferred her over Mitzi, and that she's interesting. He actually stood up against Mitzi, to defend me? She was touched by this. Hey, don't worry about what she said. So what if we're outcasts? We have each other, said Naruto, with Bloom nodding in agreement. Soon Roxy came back with their orders, having heard what Naruto said as well. She places their food on the table and says, here's your food along with your drinks. Please enjoy it. By the way, you're that new kid Naruto, right? Yeah, that's me, responds Naruto in kind. Well, kudos to you. I've been waiting for someone to shut that girl up for a while. I can't stand her in school, always going around like she owns the place or something, states Roxy, putting up a fist signaling for a fist bump. Naruto bumps her fist, with a smile on his face. She then asked, hey, do you guys maybe want to hang out sometime? Sure, I'm down, said Bloom with a smile. Why not? We could use a third musketeer for our group, said Naruto with a grin. They all traded numbers with each other, and Roxy walked away with a wave. Naruto and Bloom then begin eating the food that they ordered. They continue talking about anything that came to mind before Bloom speaks up, hey, I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick. Be back soon. As he watches her leave, he then gets a mental message from Kurama. Oh my god, and I thought we got away from all the Uchihas. That Mitzi bitch reminds me of them, said Kurama, a little put off. Naruto mentally nodded his head at that. Kurama then said, and one more thing, Kit. When you fist bumped with that Roxy girl, I sense that she too has powers of some kind. And they feel like animal-based powers. Naruto was shocked, but he gave a nod, just as Bloom returned from the restroom. Naruto asks if she's ready to go home with her, saying yes. They head to the cashier with the receipt, and Naruto pays for it all. Then Naruto offers to walk Bloom home, which she found sweet of him to do. Bloom's house 30 minutes later. They finally reached Bloom's home, stopping at her doorstep. Bloom turns to Naruto and says, thanks for the fun time, Naruto. I really enjoyed myself today. I hope we can enjoy more moments like this. She then does something surprising and hugs Naruto tightly, which he returns. She then says, also, thanks for defending me back there. Mitzi is usually the one who ends up winning our arguments. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow at school. No problem, and good night to you too, Bloom, Naruto replied, and he watched her enter her home. After she's inside, he disappears in a yellow flash. He reappears in his bedroom almost instantaneously. This is his father's signature technique, the Harem. He's gotten it to work for transport, but it isn't battle-tested yet. He then changes his clothes into PJs and summons a group of shadow clones to do his homework. It takes them an hour to finish, then dispel themselves. Naruto then hops into bed. Good night, Kurama, thought Naruto. Good night, Naruto, thought Kurama. And then they both drifted off to sleep. POV change, just as Bloom enters her house. Bloom's father, Mike, was at the table reading the newspaper when he heard the front door open. Looking up, he saw Bloom coming in and she had a happy smile on her face. Well, looks like someone had a good day today, Mike said as he folded up the newspaper. Bloom was startled, not knowing her dad was there. Oh hey Dad. Yeah, today was a great day, and I made new friends. Mike gave her a hug, which she returned as he told her, that's great news, honey. Me and your mother both know how lonely you get, having no friends to hang out with. He then noticed the flower in her ear, and asked her, where'd you get this from? He then said in a teasing tone, has my little girl got herself a boyfriend already? Bloom blushed up a storm, and said quite loudly, Dad, he's just a friend. Oh? He? Should I be worried about my little girl's innocence? Said Mike with a teasing smirk. Daddy? She whined out, covering her face in embarrassment. Gardinia, 8 months later. It has now been more than half a year since Naruto and Kurama have arrived in this dimension. It is now March 2016. Over the past few months, Naruto has been adjusting to his new lifestyle. He, Bloom, and Roxy have been spending most of their free time together. Study groups, movies, picnics, and even shopping sprees, mostly for the girls. He learned that Roxy had a dog named R2 and that she really liked animals. Her dad was also the owner of Fruity Music Bar, so she got her job pretty easily. He also noticed that Bloom's personality started to improve. She was becoming more confident with herself, and she was happy. But sometimes he'd catch Bloom and even Roxy looking at him with red patches on their faces. He even caught them having a private convo while staring at him the whole time. When he asked Kurama about it, all he got was Kurama laughing and saying you'll see. Which confused him, but he didn't dwell on it. School has also been going well for him. The subjects were simple for him to understand and he completed his homework with little difficulty. If he did have some problems with a subject, the teacher would actually take time to explain it to him. Back in Konoha, none of the teachers except Irika-sensei would even take the time to explain things he didn't understand. So he ended up seeing his classwork as pointless, causing his grades to suffer. He and Bloom met Roxy's dad, Klaus, during one of Roxy's shifts. He was a bit wary of Naruto at first, but calmed down when he learned he was just a friend. Naruto also got the job working at Vanessa's flower shop. He works with her on Wednesdays and Fridays. He mostly positions the flowers and carries boxes of supplies into the storage room. He also has conversations with Vanessa on miscellaneous things. During his first shift he met Bloom's dad, Mike. He works at the local fire department. Mike was thankful to Naruto for spending time with Bloom and being her friend since she didn't have others. Naruto's training also bore fruit. His control shot up a whole lot. He can now make a Rasengan with one hand, instead of using a clone. And he doesn't waste as much chakra using his techniques anymore. He finished his training in elemental manipulation and started learning some jutsus for each element. He has to say that the wood clone jutsu might be his new favorite. They worked like shadow clones and were way more durable. He also recreated Kakashi's Chidori, along with some variants. He vowed to never to use the jutsu on a comrade, like how Sasuke did to him. He also began making elemental and normal variants of the Rasengan, each with its own effects. For example, a Rasengan imbued with wood chakra would explode into a field of chakra vines that bind multiple targets. So it's perfect for fighting large groups of enemies. His Gain Jutsu training was coming around. With Kurama's help, he began creating his own Gain Jutsu known as the Kitsune Illusion series. It is a set of 9 Gain Jutsu that each have different effects. For example, Kitsune Illusion control ensnares the target in a Gain Jutsu that leaves the victim at the mercy and control of the caster. In addition to those, Naruto learned the second Hokage's Bringer of Darkness Gain Jutsu, which places a hallucinatory darkness on a target's eyesight, causing them to see nothing but black. His trick master style is also coming along nicely. All his movements feel instinctual, and he can flow through them easily. The current amount of clones he can handle before being overwhelmed is 30. His Fuinjutsu practice was also advancing swimmingly. He is at a level 3 mastery of Fuinjutsu. He began implementing some seals into his daily life. For example, he installed security seals in certain rooms that can only be opened by Naruto's energy signature. He also began adding weight seals to his training weight to increase the effectiveness of his strength and speed training. Naruto also made a surprising discovery during this time. Flashback 2 months ago, Naruto's training basement. We find Naruto laying on the ground, his Jinchuriki seal exposed. Surrounding him were scrolls and wood clones that were inspecting his seal. One of the clones then speaks up, "Boss, we just discovered something really weird. There are 2 pieces of foreign chakra within the seal. We're not sure if they were intentional or not. What should we do?" Thinking for a bit, Naruto then replies, "Try molding some chakra into the foreign pieces and see what happens." The clone nods its head, putting its hand on the seal. It begins pouring chakra into the seal, molding it in the direction of the foreign chakra pieces. For a few minutes nothing happens. Believing the test a failure, the clone removes its hand. Naruto moves to get up when Kurama suddenly speaks up, "Naruto, you might want to come in here. It's really important." Mentally nodding, Naruto turns towards his clones and says, "Clean this up while I go see what's got Kurama so worried." Seeing the clones nod, he lays back down and drifts into unconsciousness. Naruto's mindscape. Appearing near the seal, Naruto walks towards it yelling, "Hey Kurama, what the big problem?" He stops short, seeing 2 new additions standing outside Kurama's cage. The first is a man with blue eyes and spiky, blonde hair. He also had jaw-length bangs framing either side of his face. His attire consists of a standard Konoha uniform with 2 bands on both of his sleeves, a green flak jacket, blue forehead protector, and blue sandals. He has a short-sleeved long white haori over his attire, closed in the front by a thin, orange rope. The haori was decorated by red flame-like motifs on the edges. The second is a woman with a slender, but feminine build, fair skin, violet eyes, and red hair. It reached her ankles, with shoulder-length strands that framed both sides of her face and a black clip that parts her hair to the left. She wore a high-collared, sleeveless blouse under a long, loose-fitting dress with a wristband on her left wrist and standard shinobi sandals. "Hello Naruto, do you know who we are?" the woman said, tears beginning to form in her and the man's eyes. Naruto stood there shocked, tears threatening to fall. He runs forward, jumping into their arms while screaming, "MOM! Dad! Naruto!" They both shouted, squeezing him into the hug. They stood there holding on to each other for dear life, cherishing this moment they were having. YWN. Only to be interrupted by an obnoxiously loud yawn. Turning around, they see Kurama laying there looking bored. "Why would you ruin a good moment like this? The hell's wrong with you?" Naruto stated. Yubaka Kitsune Kushina states, her hair rising and splitting into 9 thick strands mimicking Kurama's tails. Minato and Naruto feel a chill go down their spines, while Kurama flinches a bit. "It's nice and all that you guys are having a reunion, but I for one would like to understand how you 2 are here," replied Kurama. "Well, before we died, I sealed a piece of mine and Kushina's chakra into the seal. Minato stated we were supposed to awaken if Naruto ever snapped and used more than 6 tails of you chakra I mean Kurama. We never expected you to befriend Kurama here," stated Kushina. "He was always difficult with me. You literally had me impaled by your chains hanging on a floating rock in your seal." Kurama huffed, while Kushina flinched. "Why wouldn't I be difficult when I was constantly in pain?" "Sorry about that," Kushina replied. "Well, yeah, I guess it was inevitable that we would become friends. I mean, he gave me a chance at a new life away from the hatred of the village. to actually be free to grow and follow whatever path I chose," Naruto stated. Minato flinched, then said, "Naruto, I want you to know I'm sorry for the way your life ended up in Konoha. But we really didn't have a choice since you were the only baby born that night, and Kurama's chakra is too much to seal in someone older. I hope you could find it in your heart to forgive us." Minato stood there expecting yelling, but was surprised when Naruto hugged him again. "Don't worry, Dad. I was angry with you at first, but I got over it," said Naruto. "But if you can, I'd really like to know what happened the night I was born." And so for the next hour, Minato and Kushina recalled the night of Naruto's birth. From his birth that night to the masked Uchiha identifying as Madara Uchiha threatening his newborn life, to his mother's kidnapping and Kurama being ripped from the seal and controlled with the fake Madara's Sharingan. Next with Minato fighting off the fake Madara and breaking his control over Kurama. And finally with Minato and Kushina sacrificing their lives to save the village and seal Kurama within Naruto. "Wow, so it wasn't even Kurama's fault then," Naruto stated, turning to face Kurama. "Well, buddy, it looks like we both got screwed over." "Indeed we did," replied Kurama. Observing how Naruto and Kurama interacted with each other, Minato then made a decision. Turning to Naruto, Minato said, "Naruto, give me your right arm." Seeing no harm in it, Naruto extends his right arm and Minato grabs it. Naruto feels a slight burn, then looks at his arm seeing some markings running down it. "What's this, Dad?" he asked. "That is the key to your seal," stated Minato. Naruto's head shot up at that. "There will come a time when you need Kurama's power on top of your own. You already have a good relationship with Kurama, so it will probably be easier for you." At that, Kurama spoke up, "He's right, brat. The final step in a Jinchuriki's training is to wrestle the chakra from their tailed beast, and make it their own to become even stronger." Naruto nods his head, understanding this will be a crucial step in his development. Kushina then walks up to him and presses a glowing finger to his forehead. There's a brief flash before it dies down. Curious about what just happened, he asks, "What was that about?" "I just unlocked and transferred the knowledge of my special chakra chains to you. I hope that you can take the technique to new heights and surpass my use of them," states Kushina. Naruto bows, thankful for this gift from his mother. "Of course. Give the kid more ways to beat me," Kurama groaned out, pouting. Naruto then notices that his parents' images are starting to fade. "Looks like our time is up, son," Minato told him. "Just know that we both love you very much, and that you should live a good life the way you want to. And make sure to give me lots of grandbabies." Kushina shouts excitedly, "I've seen those girls you hang out with. And that redhead is almost like me, so you better make her happy." And with that they fade away, leaving a stuttering Naruto with a red face and a laughing Kurama. Flashback end. He and Kurama decided that they would wait a long time before facing off against each other. And now, thanks to his mom, he had a new technique to master. He can only manifest 6 chains at once and hopes to increase the amount. Naruto's basement training field. We now find Naruto meditating completely still in a white t-shirt and black shorts on a Saturday, while he has 100 clones working on other jutsu and his chains. There is also a clone possessed by Kurama instructing him. They had recently started training in a new art called Senjutsu, the art of harnessing natural energy which allows the user to enter a state called Sage Mode. Kurama stated it was a powerful and difficult art to learn. There were only 4 known users of this art: the Sage of 6 Paths, one of his sons, Hashirama Senju the first Hokage, and Jiraiya the Toad Sage, though his was incomplete. When hearing about it, Naruto vowed to master it within less than a year. The main focus of this art was being able to stay completely still and balancing the natural energy you absorb with your own. "Alright now, Naruto, let's try this again. Begin to draw in the natural energy," Kurama told him, as he made sure that Naruto wasn't overwhelmed with nature energy. Nodding, Naruto began to draw natural energy, constantly making sure it's in balance with his own energy. As he's doing this, markings began to appear on his face. They appear as black pigmentation around his eyes that extends to his ears, also gaining an additional round marking on his forehead with the dot in its center. His irises also turned red, Hashirama's sage mode, but red eyes and black markings. After they are done forming, Naruto gains a shock to his senses. He becomes a little disoriented, feeling multiple presences at once. Realizing what's happening, Kurama speaks up, "Good, you've acquired sage mode. What you're experiencing right now is sensory overload." Seeing Naruto's focus on him, he continues, "You can feel it, can't you? The life signatures of the whole city. That's one of the perks of sage mode. It also increases your physical strength and speed immensely, while also supercharging your jutsus. Try regaining your bearings and focusing on a single signature." Nodding his head, Naruto tries focusing on a single signature. Finding two unique ones, he focuses hard and notices something interesting. The first signature feels old and primal like a dragon, but also young and fiery. The signature next to it feels young and wild like an animal. He also noticed that they're also moving in the direction of his home. "Hey Kurama, I can feel two signatures approaching the house," said Naruto. "Can we wrap up for today?" "Of course. But remember that while you have attained sage mode, you haven't mastered it yet," replied Kurama. Hashirama was able to gather natural energy and enter sage mode instantaneously. It takes you 5 minutes to enter sage mode. You have to work on shortening that charge time till you can enter sage mode in a second. "Yeah, I understand. But it's nice to have a challenge," Naruto told him. Turning to his clones, he says, "All right, everyone, dispel in intervals of 10 clones every 15 minutes. "Yes, sir," the clones shouted. Nodding, Naruto heads upstairs to his room and changes into a simple black t-shirt and gray sweatpants. He heads down to the kitchen, grabbing some drink water and an apple from the fridge. Just as he's about to eat, he hears the doorbell ring, along with a knock on the front door. Putting his snack down, he walks to the door and opens it. He is greeted to sight of both Bloom and Roxy. So it was the two of them, I sensed. Maybe it has to do with the nature of their powers, Naruto thought. He then says, "Hey Bloom, Roxy. What's up? Need anything?" he asked them. He noticed they were both red in the face. What is up with them? Are they sick? Thought Naruto, confused. "Hey Naruto, can we come in and talk?" Bloom asked him. "We have some important things to talk about." Curious about what they want, Naruto agrees and leads them into his living room. They all sit down and Roxy starts. "So first I wanna say these past few months we've spent together hanging out have been really great. I really have enjoyed having friends like you guys and I wouldn't change that for anything." "Yes, same here," Bloom replies, smiling brightly. "You guys already know I had no friends before you guys thanks to Mitzi. So I've really cherished the time we've spent together. But me and Bloom have noticed that as we've grown closer to you, we both desire you more than just a friend," Roxy states. This leaves Naruto confused about what she meant. He voices his confusion. "What do you guys mean?" states Naruto, genuinely confused. Bloom turns to Roxy and nods her head, with Roxy nodding back. She then says, "Me and Roxy talked about it, and we've decided that we want to share you as our boyfriend. We're saying that we've fallen for you, Naruto." This leaves Naruto shocked, and he inwardly starts panicking. Shit. What should I do? I mean, I like both of them even more than friends, but how will they react to my past? Thinks Naruto. Kurama then jumps in saying, "Haha, you found yourself in quite a bind, brat. Looks like your mother will get what she wants." Kurama continues laughing, with Naruto blushing heavily. He then stopped and said, "But in all seriousness, I say take the risk and tell them. It's better to get it out of the way, than continue to keep it hidden. You may be surprised by how they respond." Sighing, Naruto thinks back, "Okay, I pray this doesn't backfire." He then turns to Bloom and Roxy and speaks. "Roxy, Bloom, I must confess that I too want to be your boyfriend. But if we are going to do this, then there can't be any secrets between us. I have something big to confess." Seeing both girls nod, Naruto begins his tale of his life before coming to this dimension. He starts with Kurama's attack on the village, including his parents' death and eventual sealing of Kurama within Naruto. He explains the history of Jinchuriki and his life in the village, along with the village's hatred towards him. How he never had any friends growing up, until his late academy years where he befriended a few of his classmates. He speaks of his fake graduation test and his actual graduation to a genin, his first mission to the Wave Country, and his loss of his friend Haku. The Chunin exams and Orochimaru's invasion, along with the third Hokage's death. His retrieval of Tsunade the fifth Hokage and re-encounter with Orochimaru. The Sasuke Retrieval Mission and him being stabbed through the lung with a Chidori, which he showed them the scar horrifying them. And finally, Kurama's offer and his arrival in this dimension. Throughout his tale, Bloom and Roxy sat through it, going through varying expressions of shock, sadness, and horror. At the end of Naruto's tale, they both have tears coming out their eyes. Naruto sits there expecting them to freak out and leave him. So he's surprised when Bloom moves towards him, grabbing his face and pulling him into a searing kiss. He sits there shocked for a moment, before returning the kiss full force. They then release each other, giving themselves some air. Before Roxy moves Bloom out the way, then pulling Naruto into another passionate kiss. This one Naruto didn't hesitate to return, giving his all into it. They finally release each other, allowing them to catch their breaths. All three of them are red in the face. "You really have suffered, haven't you, Naruto?" stated Bloom as they dry the tears from their eyes. "I hope we can replace that loneliness with our love." "Yeah, I hope so too. I'm really looking forward to where we end up with this," replies Naruto. "So, can we meet this Kurama fella?" asks Roxy. Thinking about it, Naruto replies, "Let me ask him." "Hey Kurama, you okay with them meeting you?" Kurama then replied, "I don't see a problem with that. Make a clone for me to control." Mentally nodding, Naruto creates a wood clone, surprising Bloom and Roxy. The clone then gained red slitted pupils and changed into a miniature form of Kurama. "Greetings, Bloom, Roxy," says Kurama. "It's nice to finally meet Hy. What are you doing to me?" Kurama begins to say, but is then suddenly hugged by Roxy. "Squee, you are so adorable!" Roxy exclaimed excitedly. "Who's the cute little kitsune?" "You are." "Yes, you are." She begins tickling Kurama's belly. Meanwhile, Naruto and Bloom begin giggling. "Haha, stop, haha, please, haha, haha, stop," Kurama says, cackling, but smacks away her hands with his tails. He huffs, then continues, "I am the great Kyuubi no Kitsune. I am a literal force of nature. I am not cute. I am terrifying but never cute." Roxy wasn't upset by his attitude. In fact, she found it to be quite adorable. She could honestly get used to him if he was like this. Kurama couldn't believe this girl. How dare she treat him, the almighty Kyuubi no Kitsune, like a common house pet? But that wasn't important now. Deciding to get to the point, he speaks up, "Naruto, I think since we're telling secrets, we should discuss our discoveries." Nodding, Naruto turns toward Bloom and Roxy, deciding to drop the bomb on them. He says, "Me and Kurama have sensed that you two also have powers as well. Not like mine, but similar, and definitely strong. If you guys want to, we're offering to help you unlock and train your powers." Bloom and Roxy sit there shocked at the notion that they have powers, but they quickly shook it off. Bloom then speaks up, "I'm all for it, especially if you're going to teach us," with Roxy nodding her head in agreement, and adding in, "So am I. So let's get to it." Nodding his head, Naruto and Kurama then lead them down to the basement. Naruto's basement training field. To say Roxy and Bloom were shocked at the huge field under his house was an understatement. After curbing their excitement, Naruto pulled out 2 mats and told them to sit down cross-legged. After sitting down, Kurama speaks up, "Okay, to unlock your power, the best idea I have is to force you two into your own mindscapes. When there, you will look for the representation of your powers and make contact with it." Seeing the girls nod, he continues, "I'll be using a very powerful gain jutsu, so only awakening your powers or me breaking it will free you. Now let us begin." The girls signal that they are ready, and Kurama responds with weaving some hand signs before shouting, "Kitsune Illusion Series, subdue!" And they drift into unconsciousness. Roxy's Mindscape. When Roxy opens her eyes, she finds herself in a lush forest with a bright yellow path in front of her. As she begins walking along the path, she notices all types of animals, from little squirrels scurrying around to a giant eagle soaring in the sky. As she makes it to the end of the path, she sees a giant greenish silver egg being guarded by a large silver phoenix. The phoenix looks at her dead in the eyes as if judging her. She stares right back, not giving an inch in her determination. The phoenix finally stops staring and gives a loud screech towards the skies. It moves out of the way, giving Roxy passage to the egg. She then walks forward and puts her hand on the egg. There is a silver flash and Roxy disappears from her mind. Bloom's Mindscape. As Bloom opens her eyes, she finds herself floating in a colorful void. She looks around for some clue of what to do before she hears a deafening roar that shakes the foundations of her mind. Looking behind her, she sees a massive red western dragon with a horn on his snout, and has 2 sets of wings flying straight at her. She ponders running, but decides to stand her ground, determined to show it who's boss. As the dragon gets closer and closer, Bloom doesn't give an inch. When it looks like it's about to crash into her, it suddenly comes to a halt. Bloom then feels a wet sensation on her cheek and realizes that the dragon is licking her. She pets it on the snout, cooing at it. The dragon then releases another deafening roar, but this time Bloom joins in, causing the void of her mind to explode in a flash of red, and Bloom disappears. Naruto's basement training field. We find Naruto and Kurama patiently waiting for Bloom and Roxy to awaken. They then notice a silverish green light begins to surround Roxy. They hear Roxy shout, "Roxy, magic winks!" She then explodes with power, knocking them back a bit. When the dust settles, they see Roxy standing there awake and in an interesting attire. She wears a dress made out of a green bodice with a collar connected to it, and a silver skirt. She has silver boots, a green bracelet, and a hairpiece. The most shocking addition is a pair of translucent wings with silver tips. They then notice a red-orange light surrounding Bloom and hear her shout, "Bloom magic winks," causing her to explode with power as well, knocking them back a second time. Unknown to everyone but Kurama, a fragment of energy in the shape of a small Chinese dragon flew from Bloom and entered Naruto. When the dust clears again, they see Bloom is also in a new attire. She wears a sparkly bright sky blue, a cropped halter turtleneck crop top decorated with an oval-shaped gold jewel at the center of her chest, along with a matching sparkly light blue miniskirt with matching color shorts that are under her skirt and light blue high-heeled ankle boots. She also wears light blue glove-like, detached sleeves around her forearms that go from elbow to wrist with a point down the back of each palm, and she wears a small golden tiara with 3 rounded points at the top of her head. She also has a pair of translucent wings with colors of cyan here topped split inner layers with teal tips. The girls take a look at themselves and, as if immediately recognizing what they are, both exclaim, "Holy shit, we're fairies." As they take a look at their new fairy forms, Naruto and Kurama are having their own conversation. "So fairies, huh? Guess that means magic here is real." "Did not see that coming at all," thought Kurama to Naruto, who mentally nodded. "Also wanna let you know that a piece of energy came off of Bloom and latched onto you. It seems to have merged with your chakra, making it more dense. We'll have to see the effects later on." "You're right. For now, we need to come up with a training plan for the girls," Naruto thought back to him. "Agreed. So how are we gonna train them?" Kurama thought. "I mean, physical training is gonna be a must. Do you see how skinny these girls are? This can't be allowed to continue." Naruto gave a small nod of his head in agreement, and thought I might have a few ideas that could work. Turning his attention to the girls, he speaks up, "All right guys, we'll need time to come up with a training schedule for you guys. But for now, let's see what you guys can do against me. Kurama, you can referee the spar." Seeing Kurama nod, Naruto moves to one side of the field, with Bloom and Roxy going to the other side. Checking to see if each side was ready, Kurama then shouted, "Ready, set, go." With that, Naruto starts off by creating 6 shadow clones. The clones charge forward in an attempt to engage the girls. Following their instincts, the girls take to the air with their new wings and then go on the offensive. Dragon fire! Shouts Bloom, releasing a Chinese dragon made of fire from her hands at 3 of the clones. Holy ray! Shouts Roxy, releasing a number of white rays at the other 3 clones. Their attack hit their marks, resulting in a mini explosion that dispels all the clones. Naruto flinches a bit receiving the memories from his clones, experiencing a little phantom pain. Aside from that, he's impressed at the power behind their attacks. Deciding to take a more direct approach, he equips Balrog and speeds forward. He closes the distance and throws a right hook at Bloom, letting loose a small explosion which blows her back. He then spun around and dashed towards Roxy, hitting her with a roundhouse kick, letting off another small explosion. He then claps his hands together and flares his chakra, summoning 4 chakra chains. He uses them to bind the girls, restraining their magic as well. He then said, "Looks like that's game, ladies. I win." Seeing the girls yield, he dismisses the chains. The girls begin to glow, and there's a flash of light. When it dies down, Bloom and Roxy have returned to their civilian forms and are sitting on the ground. They also look really tired. Kurama walks over to the girls, putting his hands on their shoulders. They then find themselves covered in a thin red veil of energy, and that their stamina begins to return. After a while, Kurama stops and the girls get up feeling re-energized. "I must say, that was a nice display of power, girls," said Kurama. "Also, Bloom, you're my favorite now. You have so much destructive potential." Kurama cackled gleefully. This leaves Roxy pouting, causing Bloom and Naruto to giggle. "Well, at least we found out what your specialties are," stated Naruto. "Bloom, it seems you have a knack for fire magic. It's a destructive element but can be tempered through control. I have fire technique scrolls that you can use to develop your own spells. We'll have to see if you have any other magical talents emerge. And Roxy, it seems you have a knack for light magic. With that, you'll have to come up with your own spells, but I will help you along the way. I also suspect your magic has something to do with animals. Also, we're gonna implement CQC and weapons training into the mix," stated Kurama, gaining a raised eyebrow from the girls. "You two can't become reliant on your powers alone. What if you encounter an enemy that can steal or seal your powers? You'll be nothing more than damsels in distress, and we don't want that." The girls nodded in agreement. "We can't tell our parents about this," said Bloom. "I mean our relationship and our powers. They'll freak out. I'm more worried our dads will try to kill Naruto here when they find out he's dating both of us," replies Roxy. "This will be our little, well, huge secret," stated Naruto. "So after school, when you guys are free, you can come to my house and train for 3 hours. We can hang out after, or you can head straight home. Does that sound good to you two?" They both gave nods of agreement, with megawatt smiles on their faces. Nodding, Naruto then asks, "Do you guys want to hang out for the rest of the day? I'll even cook for you guys." The girls gave nods of agreement, excited to try Naruto's cooking. They all then walked back upstairs to the living room. Naruto's living room, 8 hours later. We find our trio on the couch, with Naruto in the middle with both girls cuddled on his side. In front of them, a table full with half-eaten and empty plates. They spent most of the evening watching movies, cuddling and trying various Japanese, American and Chinese dishes that Naruto made. They also got into some heated make-out sessions, with the girls surprising Naruto by making out with each other. Kurama made a comment about Naruto being truly blessed, with Naruto agreeing. Naruto then detaches himself from the girls, getting up and stretching with the girls doing the same. He then said, "Well, ladies, I think I'd better get you home before your parents start getting worried." The girls both nodded in agreement, and he spawned 2 shadow clones. The clones and the girls headed out the front door, with each clone taking the girls home while the original Naruto cleaned up. Roxy's house, 30 minutes later. We find Roxy and Naruto clone number 1 standing outside Roxy's home. Getting a devious idea, Roxy turns to the clone and asks, "So you get your clone's memories when they dispel, right?" Seeing the clone nod, she then does something bold. She pulled the clone into a kiss. While it was distracted, she slid her hand down his pants, grabbing his crotch. This causes the clone to freeze, shocked by this action. Before it can reply, Roxy punches it really hard. Its last sight is Roxy giving it a sultry smile. Roxy then walks into her home, giggling. Bloom's house, 30 minutes later. After kissing Naruto's clone goodbye and saying goodnight to her parents, Bloom heads to bed. She thinks of how fast her life changed in the course of a few months, and looks forward to what's to come. She then drifts to sleep, smiling. Bloom's mindscape. Bloom opens her eyes, finding herself back in the void of her mind. She sees the dragon from earlier flying around, doing backflips and somersaults. Feeling a presence behind her, she turns around and is greeted to an interesting sight. Standing there is a ghostly form of a woman. Her hair was styled in 2 pigtails that barely reached her shoulders, curling at the ends, while the rest of her hair fell to her shoulder blades. She wore a form-fitting, flowing, golden yellow dress with a plunging neckline. Around the waist was a thin, pale yellow ribbon with 3 trailing ribbons with red oval-shaped designs at the ends. There were amber-orange rings around her biceps and wrists that each had pale yellow flowing silks attached to them. Along with her signature orange mask, she wore a golden-yellow crown with a red jewel in the center at the top, and a pale yellow headpiece resembling angel wings. Bloom feels like she should know who this is. Like she's known this woman her whole life. She then said, "Who are you?" All she got in response was, "Please find me, my sweet Bloom." The woman then disappears from the void, leaving Bloom wondering who that was and how would she find her? Naruto's house, 30 minutes later. We find a blushing Naruto with steam coming out of his ears in bed. Having received the memories from the clone he left with Roxy, he can't even comprehend what he's gotten himself into. Meanwhile, in his cage, Kurama passed out, having died of laughter. Gardinia, 5 months later. It is now August of 2016, the final month of summer vacation. These past few months for our trio have been very interesting to say the least. Their relationship, for starters, was to simply say exciting. Naruto took Bloom and Roxy out on separate and group dates. They would mostly go to restaurants, movies, Naruto's house to have more of his cooking, or the beach where Naruto was treated to the sight of his girlfriends in bikinis. They also did normal couple stuff like holding hands, cuddling, and the occasional make-out sessions. Turns out Roxy was really frisky during them, her hands exploring his body and occasionally leaving hickeys on his neck, with him doing the same to her. While Bloom was more shy, usually letting Naruto take the lead. But she did treat to the most sacred of honors, the legendary lap pillow. To say that Naruto cried that day was an understatement. Their training also produced some interesting results. Turns out Bloom powers didn't only involve producing fire. She could also absorb it to empower herself and could manipulate heat as well. In addition to that, she also had a talent for healing spells. Naruto also helped her develop new and powerful fire spells by using inspiration from his scrolls. For example, she remade the fire style, Blast Wave Wild Dance, which shoots out a stream of fire out in the form of a wide vortex which can trap the opponent. Roxy's powers were way more diverse. In addition to her light spells, Naruto's hunch about her powers being animal-related was also correct. She found out that she could control and heal animals. She could also communicate mentally and physically with them. She could even imbue them with the power of human speech. She also came up with some neat ideas for light spells. For example, one of her new and powerful spells was called Faith, which summons a pillar of light around the user, then summons 3 more sequentially beneath targeted enemies. The pillars have a wide radius, and can damage several enemies at once if they are close together. Naruto and Kurama also worked the girls physically. From running laps around the training field, to doing sit-ups. Bloom and Roxy soon realized that Naruto, and additionally Kurama, were slave drivers. Don't even get them started on hand-to-hand combat. Naruto and Kurama wouldn't pull their punches against them. They said it will build up their endurance, making them able to tank weaker and moderately stronger blows. They also suggested that the girls channel magic into their bodies to increase their physical aspects, such as speed and strength. They also practice movement and dodging on the ground and in the air. Kurama and Naruto would throw techniques at them with varying speeds. Kurama had also used his father's creation jutsu to conjure weapons using the girl's energy. Like Naruto's weapons, they could be summoned and dismissed with a flare of their magic. It also boosted their magic levels when used in their civilian forms. Roxy's weapon is matte black, Western-style straight bow, with a glowing silver bowstring. It had a simple design that was constructed to be resistant enough to fire high-powered light arrows. 1. She could release 1 or even a dozen arrows at once. Roxy could also charge the arrows with magic to cause them to explode on impact. The more magic added, the bigger the explosion. She would use Naruto clones for range and target practice. She named the bow Hala Light. Bloom's weapon is a one-handed rapier with a red circular guard that has 2 yellow gems embedded into it. The blade is pure silver and it comes with a pink sheath attached to her waist, too. It was made for quick and precise strikes. Bloom could also channel fire magic through it, increasing the blade's heat to release fire jabs and slashes. She would spar against Naruto using his DSK to get practice for high-speed movements and sword fighting. She named the rapier Lambent Flare. Naruto also didn't slack off on his training. Turns out that piece of magic from Bloom made his chakra easier to mold and control. He now only needed 4 or less hand signs to use his jutsus. He had recently read in one of the Uzumaki scrolls that Uzumakis had a history of their chakra having healing properties. Since his control went up, he decided to create his own medical ninjutsu, called the Uzumaki Healing Arts. For example, the Uzumaki Healing Arts Purge injects his chakra into the target, purging them of any harmful substances, such as poison. He was also able to give Bloom ideas for healing spells. He has also reached level 5 mastery of Fuinjutsu. All he has to do now is develop new types of seals. For example, one of his biggest creations is his mobile home seal. This seal allows him to transport his whole house anywhere by trapping it in a time stasis, then sealing it into a giant scroll. Then all he does is find a new area for him home, slap the scroll on the ground and channel chakra into it. His home will be just how he left when it's released. He also developed a satchel with high-capacity storage seals engraved on the outside and the inside of it. His physical training wasn't lacking either. He increased the amount of weight he lifts, while also increasing his reps for jogs, push-ups, etc. As a result, he shot up from a measly 4 feet 6 inches to a whopping 6 feet. In addition to this, he had Kurama create him a new weapon. This time it was a pair of kamas, with skulls at the base of the blades. The kamas could connect at the tip to form a twin-bladed staff. 3. He named them Reaper and Revenant. He also started learning more high-level jutsus. For example, the water-style multi-water dragon jutsu, a variant of the water dragon jutsu that summons 5 water dragons instead of 1, bombarding the enemy. He also increased the amount of chains he could summon at once from 6 to 12. He also likes to channel lightning chakra through them to shock his opponents. He also started to train with Kurama's chakra. He could use up to 4 tails of chakra without going mad, but for some reason couldn't go beyond that. When he asked Kurama, he replied that it involves the second to last step of his Jinchuriki training, but said no more after that. He also developed an ability called negative emotion sensing. Kurama said that it was a perk of being his host. It allowed him to detect malice or other negative emotions within a person. It could also be used to tell if someone is lying or not. He also created a journal for all the jutsu and techniques he personally created. They did all this while keeping it a secret from the girls' families. They didn't want to burden them with this craziness unless completely necessary. So all in all, it was a good summer vacation. Gardinia Park, Saturday evening. We now find Naruto and Bloom having a picnic on a sunny day at the park. Naruto and Bloom are laying down on the blanket, making out. Naruto's hand on Bloom's rear, squeezing it, and Bloom's hand rubbing Naruto's chest. Before they could continue, they heard a small squeaking. Separating, they turn around and see Bloom's pet rabbit Kiko jumping up and down trying to get their attention. "What's up, Kiko? Something wrong, buddy?" stated Naruto. Kiko uses his ears to point in the direction of the deeper parts of the forest. He then speeds off in that direction. Deciding to follow him, Naruto and Bloom get up and run after Kiko. 10 minutes later, they soon arrive to the deeper part of the park forest, and are greeted to the sound of multiple growls. Looking past the trees, they are greeted to an interesting sight. They see a large yellow ogre commanding what seems to be little red imps. But what's interesting is their target. They see a girl with a sparkling orange gypsy crop top and short shorts, with knee-high high-heeled boots of the same color. She wears her hair in 2 pigtails with orange tube ties. She also wears light blue forearm-length bands and a headband of the same color. But what's really surprising is a pair of fairy wings that look like 3 leaflets with the color of powder blue inner leaflets with teal tips. In her hand is a fancy-looking staff. The base is cyan blue. It has 6 orange jewel spheres on top, 1 in the middle and the other 5 around it, forming a pentagon. Bloom and Naruto stand there shocked at the sight of another fairy, but regain themselves when they see the ogre knock her down and steal her scepter. Nodding to each other, they prepare to intervene. POV switch Stella. When Stella was getting ready to transport to Alfia, she didn't expect it to be such a hassle. She had Daddy send all her luggage to Alfia beforehand, and she was going to teleport there herself using the Solarian scepter. But then as she makes the jump, she's attacked from behind, knocking her off course and landing her on Earth. Now she's surrounded by imps and lost her scepter to that ugly-looking ogre, Canute, he called himself. Just as he's about to have the ghouls pounce on her, she hears 2 voices. Dynamic entry. The first one shouts, "Firefly!" The other one exclaims. There's suddenly a flash of orange, and when it clears, she then opens her eyes and sees 2 people standing in front of her. The first is a girl almost her age with fiery red hair and blue eyes. She was wearing some of the most stylish clothing she's seen so far on this planet. She had on a white and blue midriff with yellow hearts, a ruffled denim skirt, blue and white knee socks, blue wedges, a yellow armband and a blue headband with a yellow heart. Her hands were glowing red with power. Next to her is a boy most likely the same age as the other girl. He's certainly handsome though. He has nicely cut blonde hair, with some cute whisker marks that give him a wild look. He wears a faded black jacket that has a washed-out look, and a skull on his back. He wears an ordinary gray t-shirt with 3 buttons as the sleeves itself reach through his elbows, where it also features torn details. For his wrists he wears black driving gloves and gray bandages. For his legs he wears a black belt with golden accents, black leather pants, and brown boots. He's also wearing some weird-looking gauntlets, and has her scepter in his hands. Feeling herself black out, her last thoughts are, thank goodness, I'm saved. Then she passes out. POV switch normal. Naruto sees the new girl pass out and return to her civilian form. She is wearing an orange halter top and skirt with blue ribbons on the shoulders and belly. She wears light blue high heels on her feet. She also has on a pale blue headband. Seeing Bloom move to check on the girl, Naruto turns to the ogre, his eyes bleeding red and flares Kurama's chakra, lacing it with *ki. The ogre freezes up under the powerful gaze given to it. Naruto then shouts, "Leave now! And if you come back, I won't be so merciful!" The ogre then teleports away. Turning around to see Bloom cradling the new girl's head in her lap. He then asks, "How is she?" "She isn't injured. Just unconscious, most likely exhausting her powers," Bloom stated with a glowing palm on the girl's forehead. "All right. We'll take her to my house to rest," replied Naruto. "I'll also call Roxy and tell her to come to my house immediately. Her shift is about over." Roxy had been asked by her father to work an extra day. Naruto then picks the girl up in a princess carry and begins to make his way towards his home, with Bloom and Kiko following right behind him. Canute's Grove. Canute sat there shivering, still a little terrified by the Earth Boy's dangerous gaze. He then decided to go release some ghouls he had in reserve, when a shrill voice shouted, "Not!" Shivering in fear, Canute looks up as shadows converge on the room. 3 sets of massive green eyes were staring down at him. He let himself fall to the floor. My mistresses. You called? We sensed your return. We also noticed that you don't have the Solarian staff in your possession. Another voice spoke up, this one calm and collected. My mistresses, the situation got completely out of control. I had the scepter in my grasp, but two other magi interfered, said Canute while he was still shivering. One of them wielded massive fire power while the other had the most intimidating gaze I've ever seen. They took out the imps with ease and threatened to do worse to me if I didn't leave. Weakling, sneered a third voice angrily. So who are these meddlers? Asked the second voice. Well, one was a boy with blonde hair, with red and black clothing. The other was a girl with red hair, with blue clothing. Explained Canute quickly. Anything else? Asked the first voice expectantly, but received no answer. You forgot your stupid glasses, didn't you? Hissed the third voice. Why did we hire this guy again? Because he's a good tracker, does the heavy lifting and can take the fall if we get caught. Sighed the second voice. But that's pretty pointless now since he lost the girl. Wait, my ladies, I was able to nab a piece of the princess's clothing. With a hunting troll, I can find her again. Explained the ogre, trying to please the voices. Good, we want that scepter, said the first voice. And actually do your job right this time, nut. Naruto's living room, 3 hours later. Okay, what the hell happened while I was at work? And who's this sleeping on your couch? Said Roxy, gazing at the unconscious girl on the couch. Are you amassing a harem? I feel like we should talk about something like this before you make such a decision. You could hear the teasing in her tone. Naruto blushed, but shook it off and replied, No, I am not amassing a harem. I am perfectly fine with you lovely ladies. Let me tell you what happened. And he retold the tale of their evening and their encounter with the new fairy. But I wonder what she's doing here. Bloom thought out loud. I mean, I thought we were the only fairies left on Earth. I don't know, but we'll ask her once she wakes up, Naruto said. Well, looks we might get to ask her sooner than later, cause it looks like she's waking up, stated Roxy. The trio turned toward the new girl, seeing her shift on the couch before sitting up and observing her surroundings. She then spots Bloom and Naruto standing alongside another girl that she doesn't recognize. You're the two people who saved me, right? The girl states. Seeing Bloom and Naruto nod, she gets up and bows. I just wanted to say thank you for saving my neck out there. No problem, I'm Naruto, by the way. Naruto introduced himself. Then added as he pointed at the two girls, this is Bloom, and the other girl is Roxy. Hi, said Roxy. Hello, said Bloom. Nice to meet you. I'm Stella, the princess of Solaria. You probably don't know where that is, do you? The now revealed Stella said. Seeing them shaking their heads, she then said, I had heard that Earth was lacking in magical activity for several years, so that's understandable. Solaria is one of the many magical planets in the magic dimension, which is located very far away from Earth. So there's a whole area in space full of magical planets and people? Bloom asked in amazement. She then tried to imagine all the different worlds, and what they'd look like and what kind of magic they could use. So Stella, how did you end up here on Earth? Asked Naruto in a curious tone. Well, I was using my family heirloom to transport myself to Magix, which is the capital planet of the magic dimension. There I would be attending the Alfia College for Fairies. It's one of the major schools on that planet, and the most popular school for fairies in the magic dimension. The other two schools are Cloud Tower School for Witches and Red Fountain School for Specialists. A fairy's source of power are the light aspects of magic, such as positive feelings typically related to a specific theme or aspect of life, such as war, love, wisdom, nature, music, and oceans. For example, I'm the fairy of the sun and moon. A witch's source of power are the dark aspects of magic, although not all witches are evil and they can use their powers to fight against evil, same as fairies. Witches just use dark magic instead of light magic. Specialists are basically warriors in training. They are taught how to utilize magic and technology to fight, Stella told them. Seeing the others in the room focused on her, she continues, "Anyway, as I was getting ready to teleport to Alfia, I was attacked from behind by that ogre from before. It threw me off course with my teleportation and I ended up teleported on Earth, with the ogre and his imps following me. And then you two found and saved me. So can anyone go to Alfia or is there some selection process?" asked Roxy, interested in a school that could help her further develop her powers. "Anyone can get into Alfia as long as you have the money to pay for the tuition. Or that you're sponsored with a scholarship. Also, the school only has 3 years since that's how long it will take a fairy to grow and develop into full-fledged fairies," replied Stella. This gets gears turning in Naruto's head. "Hey, how much is the tuition for the whole 3 years? And are they still accepting admissions?" he asked Stella. "For the full 3 years, the tuition is $50,000. And yes, they're still accepting admissions. You're thinking of enrolling Bloom and Roxy, aren't you?" she said, then asked Naruto. "Yeah, I can only help them so much, but Alfia can help them reach their full potential." "What do you think, Bloom, Roxy?" stated Naruto. "Well, you do have a point. Plus, I want to see this Alfia place for myself. So I'm down for it," replied Roxy, with Bloom nodding her head as well. "So how are we gonna convince our parents?" "I mean, we're gonna have to expose our powers to them," said Bloom. "We'll tell them tomorrow. Then with Stella's help we can take them to Alfia and show them around, maybe have them talk with the headmistress." "Stella, can we rely on your help?" Naruto asked. Stella nods her head in agreement, as she said, "Of course you can. Consider it a thank you for helping me out back there." Naruto nods his head. Just as he is about to speak up, Kurama interjects, "Hey Naruto, looks like we have some company. It seems that ogre didn't heed your warning and he brought backup." Nodding his head, Naruto turned to the girls and said, "Heads up, girls, it looks like the ogre is back and he brought friends. Let's head outside." Naruto, Bloom and Roxy then head out. "Wait up. I'm all rested and ready for some payback," said Stella, following them outside. They are greeted to the sight of Canute with a bigger army of imps, but also another addition. It was fatter and larger, with yellow glowing eyes and dark blue skin. It had long black hair, claws on their 4-fingered hands and on their feet, as well as fangs. It wore a kind of thick metal ring going around and between its legs, and its nipples are pierced. "That's a hunting troll. They can track anything, all they need is a scent. They must have gotten a piece of my dress and used it to track me here." Whispered Stella to Naruto. "You may have got me last time, but now I have extra backup," said Canute. "My mistresses want that scepter. And I promise to deliver it to them." Naruto nods, then shouts out to the enemy group, "It looks like you don't learn. I'm not holding back this time." He then turns to the girls, "Bloom and Roxy, use your weapons and get these imps and the troll out of here. Stella, you can help me take on Canute." The girls nod, with Bloom and Roxy summoning their weapons, and Stella shouts magic winks, transforming into her fairy form and summoning her scepter. Naruto summons his DSK. Roxy then knocks and fires 5 charged light arrows from Halo Light, littering the field with mini explosions and taking out half the imps. Bloom then dashes forward, charging Lambent Flare with fire magic, and releases a backhand slash, unleashing a wave of fire that incinerates the rest of the imps. She then speeds ahead towards the troll, charging her blade again. This time she unleashes a searing multi-stab, hitting the troll in various areas and leaving various burn marks. Roxy then hits the troll with a blunt light arrow to the head, knocking it out. Seeing the path clear, Naruto and Stella speed forward, intent on taking out Canute. Stella yells out Sun Spark, unleashing 3 bolts of energy at Canute, stunning him. Naruto then charges DSK with chakra and unleashes 3 consecutive shockwave slashes at Canute, knocking him back into the ocean and leaving a gash on Canute's chest. Naruto then switches to Balrog and starts unleashing a mean Kratos combo over the ogre's upper body, leaving Canute with a black eye, broken shoulder, multiple burn marks and busted lip. Canute, seeing that the mission is a failure and fearing for his life, claps his hands together, flaring his magic and disappearing. Seeing that Canute has disappeared, Naruto turns to the unconscious troll and claps his hands together, shouting with style. 4-pillar prison and a wooden cage sprouted up and trapped the troll. Whoa, cool, I didn't know you had powers, Naruto. Up top, said Stella, raising her hand for a high five, which Naruto gives to her. So what are we gonna do about old Blue and Ugly here? Asked Roxy. I mean, we don't exactly have prisons for monsters on Earth. Don't worry, I can call for a group of specialists to come pick it up and process it. It will take about an hour for them to get here, though, stated Stella. The other three nod in agreement. So anyone hungry? I can cook for us while we wait, said Naruto. Immediately after he said that, Roxy and Bloom jumped on him, kissing him on his cheeks. Stella raised an eyebrow at this, but left it alone. Yes, OMG, I love when you cook for me, said Roxy excitedly. Your cooking tops anything I've eaten in this town. Please cook, said Bloom, giving Naruto the puppy eyes no jutsu. Okay, I got it, said Naruto. Turning to Stella, he then asked, do you have a preference, or is anything okay? Thinking a bit, Stella then replies, if it's okay, could you make a pizza? I could really go for a pepperoni pie right now. Naruto nods his head at this and heads into his house to start cooking. The girls then take a seat on the porch table and do small talk. 1 hour later. We now find Naruto and the girls on the porch table, a hot and steamy pepperoni pie halfway eaten in the middle. The trio had learned some interesting things about Stella. Turns out she was 17 years old. This wasn't her first time attending Alfia as well. Turns out she got kicked last year for blowing up the potions lab trying to make a new shade of pink. This had Naruto bust out laughing, Bloom and Roxy giggling, and Stella blushing and pouting in embarrassment. Stella, though, was surprised to find out that the other three were in a relationship together, but shook it off, saying that polygamy was looked down upon in Magic Dimension. They then hear a low rumbling sound. Turning around, they see a red arrowhead-shaped ship touching down. Once it landed, a hatch opened up and 4 guys walked out. The first one had fair skin, with blonde hair and blue eyes, with a muscular build. The second one is a lanky boy with light brown-orange hair, wears red-framed glasses, and is tall and slender. He has small, hazel eyes and medium skin tone. His build is less muscular than the others. The third one has short, spiked magenta-colored hair and violet eyes, and a slight tan complexion with a muscular build. And finally the last one, a young man with tan skin and a medium, athletic build. He has short, dark brown hair with bangs angled sharply towards his right eye. His eyes are brown. All 4 boys are wearing a blue and yellow bodysuit with a blue cape. The cape is attached to a round jewel worn on the left breast. Brandon, Timmy, Riven, Sky. What's up, guys? Stella exclaimed. Guys, I want you to meet Bloom, Naruto, and Roxy. They really helped me out when that ogre and his minions ganged up on me. The 4 of them walked over to the porch. The brown-haired one, Sky, 5, walked to Naruto, shook his hand and said thanks for helping Stella out, she's a real friend of ours. We also know each other due to our parents being politically involved. Oh, you're a royal? Asked Roxy curiously. Yep, you're looking at the future Prince of Heraklion, Sky states proudly. And I'm his royal squire, Brandon, 6, said. That's pretty cool, said Bloom. It must be really nice being a prince. Yeah, it can be sometimes, Sky said. So where's this troll we're supposed to pick up? Right this way, gentlemen, Naruto tells them as he leads them to the wooden cage holding the unconscious troll. Let me open up his cage for you. Summoning DSK, he cuts open the front bars for them. Thanks and cool sword, says Riven, impressed by the weapon's design. Make sure he stays there while I go get the bindings from the ship. He then walked off towards the ship. Wow, who fought him? The damage he suffered is incredible, said Timmy. That was all Bloom, said Naruto proudly. She used a rapier that I made for her. Bloom summons lambent flare, showing it off to the guys, who were amazed by its design. Cool, you must be really good at weapon crafting, Brandon said amazed. Nah, it's just a little creation technique I know that makes non-organic objects. But it's really energy-consuming, said Naruto, rubbing the back of his head. He then sees Riven return with the bindings for the troll. Alright, let's get these on him and ship him out, said Riven, wanting to get this over with. The other specialists nodded in agreement. They then carefully bind the troll's arms, legs and hands. Then they got it onto their ship, and placed it into a cell that had energy bars. The specialists then said goodbye to the group and flew off. Alright, I think you and Roxy should head home, Bloom. It's getting pretty late, said Naruto. Stella, you could stay here for the night in the spare bedroom if you want, he told her. Thanks, and yes, I'll take you up on that offer. I'm about ready to hit the hay, said Stella, getting up and stretching. Nodding at this, Naruto kisses Roxy and Bloom goodnight and watches as they head home. He then goes into his house with Stella following after him. He grabs a blanket and pillow from his closet, giving them to Stella to use. He then leads her upstairs to the spare bedroom, which is directly across from his bedroom. Telling her good night, Naruto then enters his room and changes into a simple white shirt and white shorts. He then goes to bed, hoping to be ready for the eventual conversation with the girl's parents tomorrow. 5 hours later. It is the middle of the night. We find Naruto asleep peacefully, dreaming of Roxy, Bloom and Ramen. He is then interrupted by a loud scream coming from Stella's room. He then gets up and rushes across the hall to Stella's room. He opens the door and is greeted to the sight of Stella wide awake with tears streaming down her face. Moving towards her, Naruto says, Stella, what happened? Are you okay? I'm fine, really, it's just a stupid nightmare. You don't have to worry, said Stella as she dried her eyes and waved Naruto off. But Naruto could tell she was lying. Stella, if you need to talk about it, I'm here for you, okay? Replied Naruto. We don't even have to talk and you can use my shoulder to cry on. Stella looks like she is going to stay quiet, but then grabs Naruto and pulls him into a hug. She begins crying again, eventually going into detail about what's wrong. Turns out that her parents are divorced. It had happened when Stella was a young age, and sometimes she had to play peacekeeper when they argued. It really stressed their family relationship. Her parents still loved her very much, but they just couldn't get along with each other anymore. Even to this day, they end up arguing over the littlest things. She would sometimes get nightmares about what would happen if she would lose her parents, like she had just now. Through her whole explanation, Naruto just sits there listening to everything she says. He occasionally rubs her back and gives her tissues to blow her nose and dry her eyes. When she was done, he then asks, you know what I think? I think that if your parents really love you, they'll eventually be able to compromise with each other. You're worth the compromise. Stella is touched by this and nods her head. She then asks, do you mind staying with me tonight? I know I'm asking a lot, but I could use the comfort. Naruto nods his head, then gets under the covers and closes the lights. Good night, Stella. Sweet dreams, said Naruto. Good night, Naruto, replied Stella. Bloom and Roxy are really lucky to have a guy like you. I hope I find someone like that for me. They both then drift into unconsciousness. The only sound heard was the sound of calm breathing as they both slept the night away. 7 hours later, Sunday morning. As the sunlight creeped in, we find Naruto and Stella still fast asleep together. But that changes as Naruto's eyes begin to flutter, then fully open. He tries to get up, but realizes that something or someone is stuck to him. Looking down, he sees Stella's face glued to his chest. Her arms and legs were also wrapped around his body, cuddling him, leaving him trapped. To make matters worse, it seems little Naruto decided it was a good time to wake up. So he was poking directly into Stella's stomach, his face crimson red. Shit, what do I do? Kurama! Help! Naruto thought. Shut up, brat, and figure it out yourself. Or just stay like that till she wakes up. I don't care, replied Kurama. Traitor! Naruto hissed in his mind. He then tries to think of ways to escape this situation. But it seems that Lady Luck is not on his side today. Stella's eyes begin to flutter, then fully open. She is greeted to the sight of a crimson Naruto. She yawns and then says, "Morning, Naruto. What got you all hot in the face this morning?" She then feels something poking her stomach. Looking down, she then sees little Naruto bulging through Naruto's shorts. Gaining a crimson face, she looks back up at Naruto saying, "Oh." Faster than the speed of light the two of them separate, and shouts, "Sorry." No, I should be sorry. I should have had better self-control," said Naruto blushing, while covering little Naruto. "No, I should say sorry. I'm the one who asked you to stay with me." "You're just having a natural reaction," replied Stella, while covering her scarlet face. A few moments of silence passed before the duo burst out laughing at the craziness of their previous situation. Stella then says, "But seriously, thank you for staying with me last night. I really appreciate it." Nodding his head, Naruto replies, "Sure. And if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here for you. So just ask." Stella gave a nod, along with a smile at his words, thinking to herself, "He's so sweet. Pity that he's already taken." Shaking her head, she then said, "We should get ready. Bloom and Roxy will be here soon with their parents to reveal the big secret." "You're right. You can use the shower first while I get breakfast ready," Naruto told her. She nodded and then left the room, heading into the bathroom and getting ready. Naruto then went downstairs, speculating what to make in his mind. 3 hours later. We now find Stella and Naruto in the living room, waiting for the girls and their parents to arrive. Naruto had cooked some eggs and waffles, along with some sausage as well. Stella made a comment about how she would hire Naruto as her personal chef one day, which made him blush at the comment, taking it as a compliment. They soon heard a knock at the door. Opening the door, Naruto soon saw it was both Bloom and Roxy along with their parents. Deciding to speak up, he said, "Morning, Mike, Vanessa, and Klaus. Welcome to my home. I hope your morning has been well." "Our morning has been fine, Naruto. Thank you for asking," said Vanessa, smiling at her favorite employee. "The girls said that you all had something important to tell us." "Yeah, we do," Naruto said, as he began to lead them into the living room. "Please come inside, and we'll explain. All I ask is that you keep an open mind." And so Naruto and the girls began their tale. Naruto starting with how he wasn't originally from this dimension, comparing his original one to the Warring States period in Japan. He explained the power source they had access to and its many applications. How he decided to find a new life in a new dimension and his arrival in this one. He proved this by making a shadow clone and had it walk up the wall to the ceiling. Then Roxy and Bloom revealed their fairy forms and explained how they discovered their magic and had Naruto help train them. They then went into the events of yesterday, from rescuing and meeting Stella, to the fight with Canute and his minions. And finally they brought up Naruto's idea of sending them to Alfia to fully develop their powers. "And I'll pay for the tuition. I'm not negotiating on that. But the girls need your permission," said Naruto. "We'll give you guys time to talk it over." Naruto and the girls then went outside and sat on the porch, leaving the adults in the living room to talk. "So, what do you think they'll say?" asked Bloom. "I hope they say yes. I enjoy your company. And it would totally be fun to have you join me at Alfia," replied Stella. She had grown kinda attached to the trio, especially Naruto. "Yeah, I totally hope they say yes. I mean, who can honestly say they've been to another planet?" said Roxy excitedly. They then hear footsteps coming from behind. Turning around, they see Mike, Klaus, and Vanessa standing there. Mike then says, "Okay, admittedly we're kinda disappointed you kept such a secret from us. But we can see that you just didn't want to worry us. We've talked it over, and if we can speak to this headmistress, then we'll allow you to attend Alfia," stated Klaus. This caused the girls to hug their parents in gratitude. "And thank you, Naruto, for offering to pay for them," said Vanessa. "No problem. And don't worry, I'll be going with them too to make sure they don't get into trouble," said Naruto. "So girls, why don't you get packed and meet back here in an hour so Stella can teleport us to Alfia?" The girls nod and head back home with their parents to get ready. 1 hour later. We find Naruto, the girls and their parents all standing together on the beach. The girls had packed for a whole year, their suitcases looking stuffed. Naruto was carrying a large scroll on his back and his house was nowhere to be seen. "Hey Naruto, what happened to your house?" asked Vanessa curiously. "Ah, that? It's sealed in this big scroll on my back," said Naruto. "My mother's side of the family were famous for the art of sealing. Seals could do a range of things, from cleaning your house to creating barriers that reinforce entire buildings. I basically made a seal to make my house portable." "Wow, that's pretty convenient," said Klaus, impressed. "Thanks. Anyway, Stella, are we ready to teleport?" asked Naruto. "Yep. Everybody grab onto my shoulders and we'll be there in a jiffy," replied Stella, having summoned her staff. Everybody placed their hands on her shoulders. Stella then tapped the base of her staff twice, then they all disappeared in a flash of glittering orange. Alfia College for Fairies, Magics. Our group appears in a flash of orange, and immediately Klaus dashes behind a bush to barf. A couple moments later he came back. "Sorry about that. Some people can't handle teleportation," said Stella. "But that's besides the point. I now introduce Alfia College for Fairies." The school was interesting to say the least. Its campus is a large castle with pink walls and blue roofs built around a courtyard. "Wow, that's a lot of pink," said Mike, with Klaus nodding in agreement. "It's definitely unique," said Vanessa. "I will admit the color is a bit old, but the school's design is still pretty good," said Stella. "All right. Let's go talk to Headmistress Farragonda about getting you girls enrolled." Nodding at this, the group follows Stella into the courtyard towards a woman holding a clipboard. She's a brunette with brown eyes and straight hair in a short, sharp hairstyle and sharp glasses to match. She wears a navy blue sailor-type dress. "Name please," said the woman in a stoic tone, never looking up from her clipboard. "Everyone, this is Professor Griselda," said Stella, gesturing to the woman. "She's the head of discipline for the school. She also teaches self-defense." Looking up from her clipboard to see who's talking, she then replies, "Ah, Princess Stella, you've finally arrived. I hope you don't plan on blowing up any classrooms again." She then checks Stella's name off the list. "Sorry about that, Ms. Griselda. I had to take a detour because of some annoyances. But I ended up stumbling on something interesting," Stella said. "Me and the group I've come with would like to speak with Headmistress Farragonda, please." Looking at the group behind Stella, Griselda then said, "Okay then. Please follow me to the headmistress's office." Seeing the group nod, she begins walking inside and Naruto's group follow her. Farragonda's office, 10 minutes later. They soon arrive outside the Farragonda's office. Griselda then knocks on the door and waits a few moments. There's a come in and she opens the door, allowing Naruto's group in along with her. Inside there's a small desk with a computer in the middle of the room, with 2 guest chairs in front of it. Behind the desk are 3 windows. On the left there is a couch and a huge mirror, and on the right a bookshelf with important texts. Sitting behind the desk in a fancy chair is the head mistress. She is an elderly fairy, judging from her hair. She has short curly hair, dark blue eyes, and gold hoop earrings. She also wears black horn-rimmed glasses with sky blue lenses. She wears a long-sleeved pink shirt with ruffles at the tips and a navy blue vest with a white trim, puffed sleeves, and a single violet button. She also wears a long pink skirt with ruffles near her ankles. Her shoes are black high heels with yellow buckles. "Hello, Griselda, what do you need? And who are these people next to Ms. Stella?" spoke Ms. Farragonda. "Actually, it was Stella who brought this group with her when she arrived," replied Griselda. "She stated that they all had something important to discuss with you." That's interesting," said Farragonda with a raised eyebrow. "Well, how about we introduce ourselves first?" "Hi, I'm Naruto Namikaze," said Naruto. "I'm Bloom," said Bloom. "And I'm Roxy," said Roxy. "I'm Bloom's father, Mike," said Mike. I'm Bloom's mother, Vanessa said Vanessa. And I'm Roxy's dad, Klaus said Klaus. All right. Now what was it you wanted to speak about? Said Ms. Farragonda. So Stella began her tale. How she was ambushed by Canute and his minions, knocking her off course and landing her on Earth. How she was saved by Naruto and Bloom, then brought to Naruto's home to recuperate. Meeting Roxy and finding out that her and Bloom were fairies that were trained by Naruto. Telling them about Alfia. Then fighting off another wave of enemies when Canute returned with backup and the reveal of Naruto's powers. Then Naruto cut in, explaining that he's from another dimension and how he ended up on Earth. How he helped Bloom and Roxy unlock their powers. He then explained their conversation with the parents about allowing the girls to attend Alfia and him paying for tuition. So we said if we could talk with you first, then we'll allow them to attend, said Klaus, with Vanessa and Mike nodding in agreement. That's really interesting. I was under the impression that magic hadn't been on Earth for several years. So how can two non-magicals give birth to a magical child? Asked Farragonda. Mike and Vanessa winced at the question, but then spoke up. It's because Bloom isn't our biological daughter. I found Bloom in a house fire one day. But now that I think about it, I noticed that the fire formed a dome around Bloom like it was protecting her. Maybe it was her magic reacting to the flames. Vanessa turns to Bloom and says, Bloom, I want you to know that regardless if you're adopted, you're still our little girl. All those moments we shared together are still there. I'm not that upset. It kinda makes sense really, since I don't really look like any of you. I'm okay with it cause you're still my parents, said Bloom, as she gave Vanessa and Mike a hug. And you, Klaus, what's your story? Asked Farragonda. Roxy's powers most likely came from her mother, Morgana. She passed away when Roxy was really young, so it was just me raising her. That makes sense, Roxy said. You're just an ordinary old man dad. This causes Klaus to sweat drop and the others to giggle. Well, I would be glad to enroll you in Alfia, stated Farragonda. All you need to do is fill out these applications and give me a tuition check, then we'll be all set to put you in the system. She then hands Bloom and Roxy their applications. It takes them 10 minutes to finish them, then Naruto pulls out his checkbook and writes a check for $100,000. He hands the applications and check to Ms. Farragonda, who staples them together then puts them within a folder on her desk marked admissions. Also, I was wondering if you had any labor or assistant positions open here at Alfia? Asked Naruto. Funny you should ask. We recently opened up a position for an assistant librarian. Our normal librarian, Ms. Barbatia, is in need of someone to help with her workload, said Ms. Farragonda, while pulling out an application and handing it to Naruto. Here's an application for you to fill out. It's part-time, with the working days being Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The shift starts in the morning, while ending in the afternoon. Naruto decided to fill it out right there, taking 15 minutes to do so. He then handed it back to Ms. Farragonda with a smile. I will call you before the semester starts to let you know if you get the job or not, stated Ms. Farragonda. Now why don't we get you to your clusters? Bloom, you'll be rooming with a girl named Tekna, and Roxy, you'll be rooming with another girl named Flora. Stella, you have a private room within the cluster. You all have the same cluster. All you have to do is look for the names of your roommates on the door boards. And don't forget you have one more week before classes start. Use that time to familiarize yourself with the campus and the city. Nodding, the group leaves Farragonda's office and head in the direction of their rooms. When they get there, Naruto makes sure to leave a Harem tag in their rooms so he has easy access to the girls. After they finish unpacking, the group heads back out to the front of the school so Stella can send the girls' parents home. Their parents gave them hugs and kisses and had the girls promise they would call them every now and then. They have Naruto swear to watch over the girls, which he promises to. Stella then creates a portal for them to travel home, which they head through after saying one final goodbye. This leaves Naruto, Bloom, Roxy, and Stella standing there for a few minutes. Naruto then says, well, I need to find a place to put my house. Probably somewhere in the forest close to Alfia. Then I might hit the hay. It's getting late. The girls nod and say their goodbyes to Naruto, Roxy and Bloom kissing him goodbye, while Stella pulls him into a hug. Naruto then walks off thinking to himself, well, this is it. The start of a new chapter. Can't wait to see what comes next. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.